Okay, so I'll just start with a couple of explanations first because there might be a few acronyms in here and I appreciate not everybody's up to speed with things. So when I refer to CITS, I'm talking about something fundamentally different to most connected vehicle systems. This isn't proprietary or vendor-led. This is CITS regulated at an EU level. It's interoperable across all vehicles and member states, including third countries, which includes the UK. And it's built on secure, trusted data exchange and delivered through hybrid communications. And that hybrid communications is both direct, short-range radio, termed ITS-G5, and cellular. And the second thing is PKI, which I'll probably mention a couple of times. So PKI is a key enabler to CITS, and it's an EU-wide PQI, and that's a security framework that ensures that messages are trusted, they're authentic and protected from any misuse. So in practical terms, every vehicle and infrastructure component has digital certificates that act like secure identities. So with that, we'll start with this timeline. So in Ireland, there was a national pilot. So how did it start? So with the support of the Department of Transport Ireland, AECOM, TII, etc., Transport Infrastructure Ireland, we secured 10.2 million euros in funding, half of which came from the EU and half of which came from TII. And most of that funding supported the national connected vehicle pilot, but importantly, around a million of that was set aside for C-roads. And you've probably heard of C-roads. So C-roads is the EU technical platform that defines harmonized CITS specifications across Europe, and it defines services and supports operational planning for all deployments across Europe. And during the pilot, we deployed 18 different connected vehicle services. Those included in-vehicle signage, hazard and roadworks warnings, and obviously those are infrastructure to vehicle services. And some of these services, by the way, are available on the joint AECOM CAPS demo tomorrow, so you'll see those there. We also deployed probe vehicle data, which is vehicle to infrastructure service, and that's where we get data from vehicles, and we can feed that back into the systems to recycle that, to then provide that to as an infrastructure to vehicle service. So in the future, potentially, this kind of V2I data has the potential to replace much of the third-party data that's currently procured by many roads authorities, but I think we're a little bit away from that just yet. The national pilot concluded in 2025 with a clear intention, as you can see there, to move from a pilot operation to permanent operations, which is probably more complicated than you think. But anyway, key achievements. So this slide shows the extent of the pilot. Ireland deployed a hybrid solutions, as I mentioned, and to recap again, this is a mixture of direct comms, shortwave radio, ITS-G5, and cellular. And the ITS-G5, which is normally where you need low latency, resilience, guaranteed capacity, and seen as critical to delivery of safety-related services, that was deployed around the M50, which is around Dublin, and part of the Dublin to Belfast corridor. And the cellular services were provided everywhere, and that's 470 kilometres of the national road network. At the end of 2025, the final report, because we're obviously funded by many different parties, was delivered to Transport Infrastructure Ireland, the DOT, and the EU funding body, which was CINEA. And the highlights of that report included that some of the successes, one of which was Ireland was one of the first countries to integrate CITS directly into an existing or a new ITS traffic management system. All the services that we deployed complied with European and C-road standards, and that ensured interoperability. And with the integration, harmonization with all service delivery, we future-proofed the network, and we've got no vendor lock-in. We had more than 1,000 participants on the pilot, and we've delivered, over the last couple of years, 300,000 messages, allowing us to evaluate the system, the data, and the driver experience in real conditions. So the results, I'm not going to go through the results, there's too many, but the results were very positive. For example, we had 95% of users found that services were accurate and they were effective in location and in timing. Over 76% found that their driving behaviour was positively affected. And I'll just note one key lesson learned, and this might be appropriate for Darren moving forward, is the procurement approach is absolutely key. We have developing standards still, we have developing products still, we have constant improvements, which is all good, but you need a really agile approach to procurement, and you need real collaboration across stakeholder groups. So, monitoring and evaluation. So monitoring and evaluation was key, mainly because we have to prove the benefits. Senior insisted on a lot of detail and a consistent approach to all pilot monitoring and evaluation. We had 2 separate data platforms in the monitoring. We had one for GDPR compliant pilot participant data, and we had another to evaluate vehicle and system performance. From an impact perspective, the benefits were clear. We had improved safety, better efficiency, reduced journey times, and lower emissions. And a key reason for that was behavioural. Drivers made earlier and better informed decisions, and that was the consistent feedback we got back from the user data. Technically and functionally, the system met all the requirements. It operated reliably, securely. We had low latency communication, and we integrated that wider with ITS system. I've just crossed out smoothly because nothing is smooth. But from a user perspective, drivers consistently reported greater driver awareness and a feeling of that increased safety. So overall, we did feel that we demonstrated to all the key parties that received the reports that we have clear, measurable socio-economic benefits, and I'm happy to share some of the details of those results with anybody if they're interested. So, I don't know how this slide's going to come out, we'll have to see. So looking at today's architecture on the left there, we have a fully integrated C-ROADS compliant system connected to a new traffic management system. We have data platforms, monitoring platforms, and we have a pilot level PKI security. So, let me just move this along. So moving ahead to the right, which is the future, it's what we're working on now. We're going to enable wider integration with other road operators, with vehicle manufacturers, with service providers, using a standard, you can see it top right there, standard interchange entity that can share CITS-ready messages across networks. And as part of this transition to permanent operations, we'll be adding additional CITS services again, which will be focused on road safety and traffic efficiency. And at a European level, this transition will be underpinned by two directives. One will be the ITS Directive 2023, and then there's 2 directives, and both of those will ensure that CITS standards and cybersecurity will provide long-term sustainable support for that system. And here's basically a replica of the previous one, but it looks a bit fancier. But I'll pick out 2 aspects from this. So first, the governance and stakeholder coordination. This is absolutely key. So in Ireland, we spent years doing this, and to be perfectly honest, we've not done as much collaboration across all of Ireland as we probably should have done, and that's mainly due to priorities of getting the thing deployed. So it's really key that everybody understands that CITS, as a European standard system, only works with coordinated cooperation across the entire nation, if you like. So we are going to be establishing quite soon structured working groups across Ireland to ensure consistent learning, compliance, and long-term sustainability. And secondly, I'll pick out I think it's number 5, data management. So CITS does rely on accurate, trusted, validated, and real-time data. And these data sets and services must be governed by the road operator to manage their own network. to optimise traffic flow, assume responsibility for road safety, and in time support advanced capabilities such as automated driving. Now back to C-ROADS. So C-ROADS is now, again, the EU technical platform. It's strongly embedded across Europe and increasingly influential globally. We've got close followers outside of Europe from Australia, Japan, and the Middle East. This platform delivers huge efficiencies in deployment. It avoids duplication, it manages risk, it ensures the systems are interoperable across Europe, and it also will provide a level of harmonised deployment with traditional ITS systems as well. So more recently, C-ROADS has shifted from supporting pilots to supporting permanent CITS deployments. And it's also moved, I think it's on the next slide there. I think I've actually missed a slide, just hang on a second. No, I haven't missed a slide, sorry. So CITS is structured around operational and technical excellence. As I've probably mentioned, it supports deployments on strategic roads. It started off with a very high focus on strategic roads, and now C-ROADS has moved into supporting urban networks, emergency services, and also parts of the rail network and multimodal integration, etc. So C-ROADS maintains, you can see there on the right, close relationships, lots of MOUs in place with all these organisations you've probably heard of before, like Car2Car, TISA, and Data for Road Safety. And it's to promote a shared vision, and that is the sustainable, interoperable, future-proofed digital transport service deployment. And that is me. So I'm happy to speak to anybody afterwards about the pilot results, future plans. We've got a stand across the way there where we can show you the Irish system. Tomorrow at the demo, we've got a mixture of the Irish system and the Austrian system. And I'll just give my personal thanks to Mobius, who provided these fancy SIM cards, because I left them at home and they had to provide them this morning at the last minute, so I had a massive panic attack. And thanks to Capch for setting everything up, and thank you for TII for supporting this demonstration too. So yeah, thank you very much.